Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to Taproot. I'm here as usual with my trusty companion, Mr. Marshall Wilson, and we have a special guest with us tonight. And I'm going to let Marshall introduce her, but thank you guys for tuning in this evening, whenever you may be watching, and we look forward to tonight's show. Marshall, take it away.
Hey, buddy, it's good to see you. Look, I'm sorry I missed seeing you today. I was supposed to be down in the Capitol. Weather prevented it. I would have loved to see you, but you show up on the show tonight and you look like a monk or a saint or something there with that light in the background. It's really impressive. You know, all the best I can do is books
It
to
was
make
a chandelier. It's a chandelier. Don't be so impressed.
and that of course is our friend Miss Etta Kaiser. And she's going to tell us about her organization. It's called Watchdog Family Services. And Miss Etta, if you go ahead and let us know not only about your organization, a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this particular issue that you're dealing with. Tell us about your organization, the others who are involved in it, as much as you're willing to share and they're willing to let you share. And then tell us about what happened today that I missed because of the weather.
Oh my
And
gosh, I wish
again,
you
my
could have been
apologies. I was
there.
to be in there, but you go ahead and introduce yourself and your organization, please. Thank you.
Okay, of course, my name is Etta Kaiser, and I'm with Watchdog Family Protective Services. I am co-owner of the nonprofit with Joe Millay, who, excuse me, is out of Charleston. Uh, I came by way of domestic violence. I'm a domestic violence survivor. It happened, of course, over 20 years ago. But I was helping a friend who was in a very serious domestic violence issue to the point of that human trafficking to that event. And when she called for help, they came in and took her child instead of removing the man or removing the mother and the child for safety. So that's how I came into it, because I mean it's government overreach. It is CPS overreach. And the incentives that the federal government is giving, it is incentivizing corruption. I'm here in Mingo County, one of the most corrupt places there is. I actually had a whistleblower over a year ago. I have kept her very private for over a year. I've not divulged her name just because right now we do not have strong enough whistleblower laws for people like that. I can tell you that
Simply in the state of West Virginia.
yes.
Okay.
And I can tell you that she did work for Judge Micah Thompson. I'm going to throw out some names here, and I will take the backlash, as I'm sure. But she is no longer sitting there. This lady actually worked in that with the judge, and there's an attorney who was involved in this, and his name is Jeff Simpkins, and that was Micah Thompson's, or Judge Thompson, go-to boy. And a CPS worker, and I forget her name, but I do have it written down, and the adoption agency in Logan. And
Logan County, West Virginia, right?
Logan County, West Virginia,
Yes, ma'am.
where the man who is over the adoption center actually put, it's the end of the year, come and get your kids before you file taxes. I mean, that is insane to me. That is unacceptable. Children are not dogs. These are humans. These children have constitutional rights. So we have a severe corruption issue due to the incentives of the removal. We're at 67% removal rate in West Virginia. We're leading in the nation. You can't
Okay, I'm
tell me.
sorry. I'm sorry. Can you clarify what you mean by that? The 67% removal rate. Does that mean that 2/3 of the families who are referred to CPS or referred to the court system lose custody of their kids? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and not only that, a lot of them, especially in Mingo County, what they do is remove the children, and the parents are supposed to get these visits, once a week or whatever. Mingo County doesn't do that. They try to separate the family. A family is the backbone of America. If you don't have, you wonder why there's drug addiction. You wonder why there's mental health problems. You wonder why women, turn to certain things. When you take the one thing that God gave to us, not the government, then you create these problems.
Can I ask another question real quick?
Mhm.
All right. Actually, it's a couple of questions, but they're all around a central point, if I may. So you said 67% was the highest in the nation.
Yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned the resulting drug problems, but because we have drug problems, we have non-functional homes, I would presume. So I assume you're not saying that our rate of removal from the home should be zero.
No.
What's more rational to you based on our situation? And what do you see as the connection between the drug problem we have here in West Virginia and the removal of kids from families?
There's a better way, and it's not that we're against CPS. We're against the corruption of the bad ones. We need CPS. We know that. We know that there's children who suffer. But Mr. Wilson, what we're doing is right now, the judges have so much leeway because they operate between a criminal and a civil, and they get to decide which one it is. So to me, if you abuse a child, you put your hand on a child, that is criminal. However, a judge can make it civil if they don't think the abuse is that bad. That
Okay,
has to
so
stop.
you're not saying that there's criminal law here and civil law here, and that family law is in between. What you're saying is that the two overlap at family law, and that this portion in the middle is actually kind of a muddle. And
Yes.
you're saying that it leaves way too much in the judge's hand. The law is not clear enough.
Absolutely. Well, and and when they're in these courtrooms, a lot of the guardian ad litems, CPS workers, they are not sworn in under oath. They don't get perjury charges. Like if you lose your child, and you can prove that it was willfully and wrongfully, your child was willfully and wrongfully and negligently taken, you can get financial compensation, but you can't get your kid back. That is insane. So,
Okay.
so
So, no
consequences,
question.
we're professionals, and professionals are held to a higher standard. My husband is a physician, and I know. And if you're going to be a professional, then you're going to be held to a higher standard than what, say, I would be. And there's going to be, if there's no consequences to actions of lying to gain money, then you're going to run amok. You're going to do what you want to do.
I think Todd had a question for you.
So is it the is it the law that is lacking in defining the roles of these people, or are they interpreting the law incorrectly?
Well, it's both. It's
Yeah.
both. It is a mixture of both. And if you get a corrupt judge, a corrupt attorney, a corrupt guardian ad litem, and especially in a small community where we have one circuit judge, that's it. We have nowhere else to go. They are the be all end all, on this end,
Yeah.
and it causes a huge problem because the air circuit judge is over all the magistrates, the
Mhm.
prosecutor. I mean, they are God in essence, and they have the final say. And when you get a corrupt judge who can muddle between civil and criminal, and there is no consequences for the judge, the guardian ad litem, or the CPS worker, then why not do what you want to do and make $150,000 a year because you removed 10 kids?
Well, there's a process in West Virginia, and of course, as you know, I was a legislator in West Virginia for a couple of terms, there's a process by which you can actually file a complaint with the Attorney General's office against judges you believe to be corrupt. Has your organization attempted this at all?
Well, I was just in a situation. I have a lawsuit against Mingo County. I have another one coming up in federal court. But yes, this has been reported. I have personally reported, not to the new Attorney General. No, I haven't.
Well, the new Attorney General's only been in office for a few weeks, but we had the same Attorney General for 12 years. How did he deal with it?
He was very supportive of CPS, and so was Governor Justice. They believe that we need to give them. Well, Jim Justice actually said we need to give them more money. No, 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 just no.
Okay, I just want to clarify here. So, are we talking about complaints against corrupt judges, or complaint? I was asking about complaints against corrupt judges going to the Attorney General's office, because there's actually a system for reporting corrupt judges to the Attorney General. Over the 12 years that Patrick Morrissey was our Attorney General before he became our governor recently, what was your experience? What was the experience of the people you helped, or your organization's experience with that process?
Well, now I tried to speak with Governor Morrissey several times. Now he seems to be very supportive, and winds have changed. His wife showed up at our rally today. Um, you know, so I guess maybe tides are turning. I just know that the corruption here, and I can speak for Mingo County because I was born and raised here. I've lived here all my life, lived through the 80s, the good 80s. But it is tyranny. And what is happening is they are putting gag order on parents. They're refusing to give parents their court records, which is illegal. Those are their records. That is their child. They're entitled to have those records, and they are threatened if they speak out against them, then they will lose their children.
Oh, threatened with the loss of custody of their children.
Yes, and they lose them anyways. That's the whole point. They lose them anyways. But I understand. I've never been in the system, and God, I will not say because, but God forbid something like that would happen and they come in my home for my child, which she's 17 and I've never had to deal with that. But I mean, I could honestly say that I would be sitting somewhere in prison for the rest of my life.
Okay. But you haven't had the opportunity, at least that's what I'm hearing, to actually report any corrupt judges to the Attorney General's office during the time that Watchdog Family Protective Services has been has been functioning.
Yes, I had reported Micah Thompson.
And what was the response you got to that from the Attorney General?
I never got a response. You really put me on the spot here.
What you're saying? No. I'm asking what we need to do. But you're saying now that he's governor, he seems to be more interested in
he seems to be more interested, and I mean, with knowledge, ignorance is not being stupid. That's two different things. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge. The more knowledge you gain about something, the more that you may come to change your mind, and I think maybe that's what has happened. But I know on our end of the county, we do have an excellent circuit judge now, thank God, Judge Deskins, and she is very much for combating this the removal in Mingo County, the rate being so high, and getting more assistance to the parents. Even if for drug addiction, we're working on and talking about some things like that. But she is definitely wanting parents to be able, if they have their children to move, to at least be able to see them. They're not even seeing them now. They're just taking them away, and just like years. I mean, people have been fighting for 4 and 5 years to see their kids. That's time you can't get back.
Right. Okay.
So
I've actually written a really good bill, and I'll shoot it off to you all later. It is really short, but I think the interpretation of imminent and immediate danger, I think, needs to be explained, unfortunately, in depth better, because that is the only way that if you show up to a home, the child has to be in imminent and immediate danger. Uh, just because you show up to a home and a child is dirty, or you haven't been to the grocery store yet, do you understand what I'm saying? They are using their own definitions.
So what happens? What happens with children who are taken away from the parents? Are they actually in state custody?
Well, yes, I guess. See, there's another gray area. When they take the kids away, they, until you actually lose your rights, then you are still the parent of the child, the technical overseer, but you're not, because of the guardian ad litem and the CPS worker. And I do not understand how that works, because I mean, if you still have the rights to your children and they've not been removed, then you should have access to their medical records, their mental well-being. You should know where your children is at. A lot of these parents don't even know where their children is at. uh, an instance, I had one lady on our podcast, and she was one of my first. She actually took in pictures of her children being held by a man who is a registered sex offender. And the judge was Micah Thompson, and her reply to that, to the foster person, parent, whatever, don't let that happen again. I mean, okay.
Wait. You're saying that the parent provided a photo of the child who was in state custody being held by a registered sex offender.
Yes, and babysat by it. And it's proven. I have the records, documentation. I don't speak on nothing that I don't know facts about. If I don't know, I will say I don't know.
And the judge's response was, just don't let that happen again?
That was the judge's response.
Was this person who was the sex offender like a family member or something?
No, this is such an outrageous story. No, it was actually one of the children's father. There was 3 kids, but it was his ex-wife, and he was in jail. Okay, that's who had her children. How does that happen?
Wait. I'm trying to understand. So there's a mother who lost custody of her 3 kids.
Yes.
Those 3 kids were placed in foster care with the ex-wife of one of the children's biological fathers while he was in jail.
Yes.
Okay, so who was the sex offender who was holding the child?
I do not know the name of the registered sex offender. I can find out. But the pictures were provided, and there was not, he was babysitting. This was
Like responsible for the children.
Yes. So that's what we are running into, and it's trafficking, and people act like that is such a trigger word. But let me tell you something. The definition of trafficking is anytime money is exchanged for a human, that is trafficking.
Yeah.
Period. Whether it's the government incentives or not, My dog, sorry. But it's trafficking any way you look at it. And take these incentives and give them to the parents that need a hand up. You know, being poor is not a crime. My parents grew up with the dirt floors. There was 11 of them. You know, my uncle, he had an outhouse that his whole family grew up and they washed in wash tubs. I loved staying there because we had city water and I just thought that was so cool growing up. But being poor is not a crime.
No.
And this money could be better spent than removing children from domestic violence situations. Remove the man, remove the problem. Hush.
Do you gave us some percentages a while ago. Do you have any raw numbers for how many kids are actually in state custody right now?
Um the last that I had looked, and I had posted it to my Facebook again because it was a year old, it was upwards of 4,000, but get this, 400 children, they can't find them. Like, they can't find, and I can send you the article on this. Uh, some people out of New York came in here. The DOJ came in here. They were sending our children out of state. And the DOJ gave them 4 years to get them back. Now, children who have mental health problems or special needs, they're putting them in these mental health facilities or psychiatric wards. I'm going to bet you $1 and that half those children aren't there. There is no database. There's no transparency to know where these children are. And they simply say, we don't know where the files are. What do you mean?
I don't know where the files are either.
No, no. I will send you this article. And like I said, it is posted to my Facebook. Yeah, and I read the whole thing and I go through all the statistics. It's a really good, it's about a 25-minute one.
So that's 400 children of West Virginia families who have
Yes.
just been lost.
Lost in the
You know what?
system.
West Virginia is not a high population state.
No.
We've got what, about 1.6 million citizens in the state of West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
400. That's a lot of kids.
Can I read something quickly?
Mhm.
Okay, this is from July the 18th of last year. It says the West Virginia Department of Human Services Bureau for Social Services today announced the lowest number of children in state custody in more than 7 years, in addition to continued improvements to its child protective services and youth services in the first half of 2024. Governor Justice discussed the announcement of ongoing commitment to reducing the number of children in foster care and strengthening the CPS workforce during his briefing today. And then it says, as of June the 30th, 2024, there are 5,991 children in state custody, with more than half placed in kinship care, marking the first time since March of 2017 that figure has dropped below 6,000. A year ago, there were 6,286 children in state custody at June 20th or 30th, 2023, down from a peak of 7,433 in April of 2020. I don't know if these are accurate figures, but still almost 6,000 as of June the 30th last year.
And I'd say 6,000 of those, the number was 400 missing. I'd say there's quite a bit more missing. I'll have to definitely look into that. The article, it is from a 2021-22 article. If you may be able to pull it up there. But yeah, they simply just don't know where they are, and they are refusing to turn over files to the DOJ, actually, on where these children
Department
are.
of Justice.
Yes.
And they're just refusing to turn them over.
Just refusing, flatly refusing. So we have a serious problem. And like you said, for 1.6, we're from 7 and we're going to cheer about 5,000. That is no.
Okay, well, Todd, did you have anything else about this particular phase of the discussion?
No, I just pulled up this other article from 2020
Right.
that says scores of children in West Virginia's foster care system are unaccounted for at any given time, and state officials can't seem to find records about them, according to new information uncovered in an ongoing lawsuit that seeks better protection for thousands of kids in state custody.
And that's from 2020, so
Yes,
5
sir.
years.
62 children were missing from state custody, according to DHHR, at the end of August of 2020.
So
And the
not,
state has reported 364 kids missing from foster care so far this year.
and the state has been aware of this for at least 5 years, probably quite a bit longer than that.
And what they do is the missing ones from foster care, they go ahead and they put them as runaways. Why wouldn't we activate an Amber Alert just like we would for any other child?
Right.
That's pretty cynical and disingenuous.
It's
So-
inhumane. It's
Well,
evil.
yes.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, agreed. So why don't you tell us about Watchdog Family Protective Services, what you do, how you do it, what kind of help you could use, that sort of thing.
Well, we definitely want to start working on grants to be able to expand our organization. We've just been doing this for a year, and it's been Joe and I. And Joe and I take every call, every email. We schedule everything. We do this on our own time. We don't make a dime. That's not what I'm in this for. I'm in this for the children. Yeah, I mean, I don't need the money. I don't want the money. I mean, our children need to be safe. But we would like to expand to the point to where we could work with CPS. We could work with the court systems to make sure the kids are getting the visitation with the parents. We could be a outside, like we have no like we're not partial to the parent, we're not partial to the foster parent, like we're solely about the kid and it's the kids at first constitutional rights.
Isn't that
And
supposed to be the guardian ad litem's position?
well, it is, but seeing how I don't think they're doing a very good job, and also with the guardian ad litem, another thing that I have kind of an issue with, and I don't know really how to go about this, but children have constitutional rights too, and if you
From the
still
mom?
have custody, if you still have custody of your child, why does the state get to pick the guardian ad litem? Why can't I pay for my child to have the best attorney that's
Well, who
going to
does pay for the
represent
guardian
my
ad litem?
child?
Who does pay for the guardian ad litem?
The state,
Do they?
the government, yes.
Oh, in my adoption case, I was required to pay mine $4,000.
Oh, really? Now I hear that some people do have to pay, but usually it's the state. It
Yeah.
is, So again, why wasn't you able to hire an attorney for your child to get the best representation for the best outcome of that child?
Well, apparently I did hire an attorney. I just didn't know it. I got a bill from the court that I was in a lot of trouble if I didn't pay $4,000
Well,
because this lady came into my house and took my kids off somewhere else and talked to them, and then went and reported to the court that my kids couldn't speak English, nobody in the house could speak Spanish, and that they hated being here and they wanted to go back to Peru.
so being bilingual is illegal?
No. The report was that nobody in the house was bilingual, so the kids couldn't talk to any of us, which is a straight up lie. I actually lived in Peru, and I was a theology instructor, and my Spanish is pretty good.
Right.
Well, we were sitting in court, and my daughter actually asked the judge after the guardian ad litem made her report to this effect. My daughter actually said in English, Why did that lady just lie about me in court?
Wow.
So
Wow.
anyway, but I still got a bill for $4,000. So
No.
can you give us an idea of what specific services Watchdog Family Protective Services actually, what do you engage in? Where do you show up? What do you do?
Well, we of course we run our own Facebook Live, and we give people the opportunity to share their stories if they want to, because there's so many that need to be heard. But we offer. I'm not an attorney, but we offer people how to navigate the system. Um, and we give them resources. We find them other resources. If it's something that we are unable to handle, we find them the resources
So you're a
that is
public
possible.
education organization.
Yeah, and I mean, and we'll pick up a phone and call. We'll be, a courthouse. We will rally on a courthouse step
Call
over a
whom?
good cause.
You'll call whom?
Well, I mean, the prosecutor's office, the judge's office. We want to start holding rallies on every local courthouse there is until we're heard. I mean, we
Okay.
just.
Most of the people you're trying to get to hear you are either elected servants, elected members of our government, or appointed members of our government who are appointed by elected members. And I'm sure that you're not unaware of this, but the most effective way to get politicians or their sidekicks to listen to you is to fire a few of them. That's the best way to get them to actually listen to you. You can come all day with all the information you want, all the evidence you've got, all the sad stories you can get together. And I am not denigrating anything that you've done. I'm just saying they don't care. What they care about is getting reelected.
Right. And we carry, I removed my Facebook lives, helped
Yep.
remove a sitting circuit judge that had been there 13 years. So I carry a little weight down here. I'm not saying a lot, but my voice is heard and people do listen. And, we left Mike Stewart with some photos.
Now, I noticed
And
that Senator Stewart, who is, I believe, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, he was at your meeting today. How'd that go?
oh, wonderful, and he is going to DC, Trump, to be part of Trump's team, and going for his confirmation hearing, and he's going to be part of the DHHR part of that, which is good for West Virginia. But I left him with some. I say record everything. To me, recordings protect you. It protects me, and of some judges, some prosecutors, some police officers saying that they know that these things didn't happen, but they got to do what the judge says anyway. So this is in Charleston, by the way, and he's in possession of 2 CDs and pictures. Yes,
Okay, well, that's great. He's going to be working at the federal level. But
yes.
for you to have the authority to do what you need to do here, you have got to fire some people in our state government.
I mean, it's not. I am definitely not worried to fire off those CDs, and I will.
I'm not talking about firing off the CDs. I'm talking about firing your legislators.
Oh,
Replace.
absolutely. They're that we elect them. We have been complacent as as citizens of the community, and they're not doing what we want. And if they're not doing what we want, it's time for them to move on.
It is, absolutely. And of course, the way to do that is to organize and then reach out to the community in each of those districts and let the people in those districts know, here is who your delegate, here is who your state senator really is. Here's where he stands on the idea of figuring out where these lost hundreds of children are.
Yeah.
Figuring out why it is we're taking 2/3 of the children that we check on, 2/3 of them get taken away from their natural families. One of the big problems that I heard about a lot as a delegate was you had people who were members of the kids' families who desperately wanted, grandparents, aunts, uncles, who desperately wanted the kids to be placed with them. And, basically, from what I understand, they could pass the background check. They wouldn't have any trouble. They didn't have any drugs in their home. They had decent homes. They had other children, and they just wanted their kids, cousins to come and live with them. And that CPS would just flat out tell them, no, thank you. We're going to put them in a hotel somewhere.
And a completely random place. That, yes, there was actually kids actually put in like a Motel 8 or something. I forget where that was. But this, like I said, this not just a West Virginia problem. This is across the United States.
No, but like one of my trainers taught me in the Army, what can you affect at your level?
You got a charity starts at home.
Yeah, at your level, what you can do is organize the people of each individual district where a legislator needs to be fired, find candidates to run who actually understand the issue, and get those candidates elected, and fire those people who don't care about these kids. Todd, I think you had something to say, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add in that there were some examples further on in this article. So a story about a 15-year-old boy named Jonathan,
Yes,
who was taken into state custody, and he was sent to a facility in Nashville, Tennessee for juvenile sex offenders. However, he wasn't a sex offender. And it goes on to state that as of July of 2020, 444 foster children were living out of the state of West Virginia, and more than half of those kids were living in long-term psychiatric facilities. I mean, it just makes no sense.
All right. So how do people get a hold of you?
You can go to our Facebook page, Watchdogs Family Protective Services. We have a number there. Also, Facebook, reach out through my messenger is open. I answer every call, every email. So, I mean, if we can be of any service or we can direct you to where you can get services, I'm more than glad to help.
Okay. Are you affiliated with any other organizations in other states?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, can you tell us more about what happened today in Charleston, our state capital?
Yes, we had our delegate for Mingo and Wayne, Delegate Henry Dillon speak. We had Senator Mike Stewart. We had Senator Brian Helton. We had Senator Maynard. And there's one more, and I cannot think of his name.
Was Senator Craig Hart there?
Yes, Craig Hart. There's the other one.
Yeah.
So we had some good speakers, and they got to listen to the stories, and it being the first day of legislation and stuff, we were very, very grateful that they did take the time to speak with us, being so busy.
Okay. And did any of them actually take the podium and address the crowd?
Yes, all of them did.
Okay. What did they say?
Well, Mike Stewart was really, really probably the most harsh on it. Him and Delegate Henry Dillon, they were the most harsh about the crackdown. CPS being completely broken. It is a broken system that has to be fixed, and it just isn't working. And so yeah, they and then they took time to take questions from people in the crowd, and they spoke with people one-on-one. And Patrick Morrissey's wife also showed up, so that was great.
Okay.
So we're, like I said, we've been at this a year. We're not professionals. We're learning, and we're passionate about it. And, we're going to make the change. I mean, I'm a goal setter. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yes, ma'am. Well, just for the record, had I been able to make it today, my intent was to speak about the purpose of government. It's really the only thing I ever talk about. And according to our founding documents, the purpose of government is to secure the natural rights of each individual human being. That means each person, which means each child,
Mhm.
beginning at the moment of conception. But the point is the government exists for no reason other than that. And any government that fails to secure your natural rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is useless. And according to the Declaration of Independence, must either be altered to actually meet that criterion or abolished so that another government of a different type that actually will meet that criterion can replace it. Personally, I'm in the altered camp. I would like to alter our government to bring it back into alignment with the Constitution. But in addition to that, I wanted to say that any government that fails to secure our natural rights is useless. But any government that fails to secure the natural rights of children, of the least capable of defending their own rights, has really, really lost the trail. They have no idea what they are. They've lost the vision. Whatever they're doing is wrong and needs to stop until they actually protect the rights of those children. And then, of course, I would like for them to continue and protect everyone's rights. But at the moment that they are failing to protect children, they're done. They're
Yes.
completely useless. It's a failed government, and it needs to be severely altered or perhaps abolished and replaced with something even better. So,
Well, the government has to. They've definitely overreached that. The government has no right to tell you how to raise your child.
the government only
And
has to protect that child's natural rights, has the authority to protect that child's natural rights. And if you, as a parent, or I, as a parent, or anyone else as a parent, is actually threatening those children's rights, that's when the government should step in.
right, I agree.
That's
Absolutely.
okay. Now, if you disagree with the way that I raise my kids, as in the way that I teach them about the government, because I know for a fact that our government really dislikes the things that I teach my kids about our government, you don't get to take my kids away from them.
Right.
So I would like to really encourage our current West Virginia government, all of our elected employees and all of our appointed employees, to take a moment, recalibrate, refocus on their mission, which is to secure the natural rights of every single West Virginian, including and especially those who can't stand up for their own rights. That is why you have a job. Please do it.
Yes. Yes. I mean, if we can't protect the weakest of us, then who are we as a people, as a human race?
Yeah.
Right.
But I have loved talking with you guys. And of course, I voted for you. I mean, I was hoping,
All right, little disclaimer here. I invite people on the show whether they voted for me or not.
Oh, I know that. But you know
But
that I voted for you.
Honored, and I'm really grateful for your support. It's a real privilege.
Well,
But
you're an honorable man. Trust me. I looked into your background. You're a very honorable man, and from what I have researched and people that I've talked to, you're a man of your word, and that goes a long way.
I fear God. I'm scared silly of him.
We all should be.
And because I fear God, I don't really have any room in my heart to be afraid of anybody else. There just isn't any room for it. So I absolutely believe that he will hold me accountable. And so I try really hard to hold myself accountable so I don't have to face his holding me accountable. But,
Well, if what you do in this life, if you don't pay for it in this life, you're going to pay for it in the next, and your children are going to pay for the sins that you've done. And I'm a firm believer of that.
Well, there are consequences that carry over, yeah. And of course, I have 9 children, and so that's a lot of consequences.
Oh my God!
I thought you knew that.
We're not live, right? We're not live.
No, we're recording, but I have.
Okay, well, because you are a busy man.
Well, I mean, the youngest 2 are actually high school seniors now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and the rest of them have all moved out of the house, gone on to college or careers or whatever. And yeah, they're doing.
My daughter is 17, and she has been through a lot with me, and the targeting that has went on with me personally due to me speaking out, like the tyranny that I was talking about.
But she recognizes the value of it, right? And supports you, or no?
Excuse me?
Does she recognize the value of what you're doing?
Absolutely. She knows that it's targeting. She knows that it's wrong. She's very intelligent, but she has stood right with me, like, because at times I wanted to give up, and she's like, but we've come so far. I've fought this fight for 3 years. I was just incarcerated from the old administration on December the 19th, held for 40 days without an arraignment. They had 5 days to get me in front of a judge. That never happened. My husband ended up having to call the attorney general. So,
Do you want to go ahead and tell us about that? We've got about Todd, 15 more minutes?
yeah, I mean, it's the same officer who came in my home without a warrant, Officer Williams. This started in 2016 because when I even went to court, and the judge then told me she did not agree with my politics. I believe in term limits. I don't know if anybody else does, because when you can sit somewhere for 15 years, that breeds corruption. And
Just for the record, I actually, as a delegate, proposed term limits for the legislature and for all the constitutional officers, and then also have worked to forward an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to limit congressional term limits.
there should never be lifetime appointments to anything.
No.
That breeds corruption. You want corruption, then you let somebody sit for 13 years. I mean, as humans, I would hope that I would always do the right thing, but then having that much power and that much control, and being the sole judge of a whole county in the palm of your hand.
Here's part of the problem that most people don't seem to really think about. It's not just that you're in that position for that long. It's that you can then shape the terrain around you so that for people to get to you, they have to jump through hoops. They have to go through so many different paths and doorways and secret doors and stuff like that, that at a certain point, you are completely insulated from the people that you're accountable to.
Yes. And then, especially here in Mingo County, during that administration, the laws that are on the book, they're just a suggestion here. The Constitution doesn't even apply here. It's just if you want to type of thing. And that's really what we have dealt with for 13 years under that administration. Like I said, I do know Judge Sabrina Deskins will bring in a new era. I know her, and we still have a few people left over from that old administration, but I believe that she will definitely clean that up.
Let's organize. Let's fire some people and see.
Absolutely. I'm willing. Just pick up the phone and call me. I'm willing.
Okay. Todd, do you have anything else for Italy?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Italy, one more time, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. And, if there are specific volunteer type tasks that people can do to help you out, if you need maybe connections across the state, say if you get a call at 2:00 in the morning, can you call somebody in Morgan County to go and help somebody out, that sort of thing? Why don't you go ahead and let us know how to do that?
Okay. Again, I'm Etta, and I'm from Watchdogs Family Protective Services. You can go to our Facebook page. Our phone number is on there. Also, my Facebook is public. You can reach me through Messenger. Then I will give you my number. We will give you any resources. We answer all of our calls, all of our emails. We would love to have you join. And what we really would love, and what happened today, is we had 3 organizations come together, joined by Hearts and West Virginia Concerned Citizens and Watchdogs. We joined forces today. And I believe that if we join forces and come under one umbrella, that we can definitely make a difference. I mean, we're all fighting for the same thing. We may have different views on how to get there, but we all have the best interest of the children, and that brings us together. So when we host rallies, whatever, show up and support us.
So the easiest way to get a hold of you is Facebook, Watchdog Family Protective Services.
Yes.
Awesome. I can't tell you how honored I am to have you here tonight. And again, please give me another chance to show up for one of your rallies. I jumped up at 4 o'clock this morning, ready to run out the door, and then I took a look at the weather and I woke my wife up and discussed it with her, and we decided it probably wasn't the smartest.
Well, safety is always best, but you was missed. You was absolutely missed. So, and because I promoted you heavily.
I'm sorry that I couldn't show up.
So you owe me.
A 6-hour drive in those kind of conditions probably wasn't the smartest thing I could do.
No, absolutely not. But you can make it up to us.
Outstanding. Todd, thanks for putting it again. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you, and I want to thank the GCD network for making this option this available to us, this opportunity, and everybody who's listening and will listen. Thank you, and please get a hold of us. Tell us what you want to talk about. Todd, how are we doing?
God bless. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
You too, honey.
I love West Virginia women, honey.
Yep.
How you doing, Harlan? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I have brought people here from other parts of the country. And we'd go to a restaurant and the waitress would be like, "Well, what do you need, honey?" And they'd be like, why is she calling me honey? I don't know her.
No, I don't need any honey. I just I just want some butter.
Just give me some jam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was reading this paragraph, which I think you'll find interesting. The final chapter describes the ultimate consequences of this debunking, a not so distant future in which the values and morals of the majority are controlled by a small group who rule by a perfect understanding of psychology.
Exactly.
And who in turn, being able to see through any system of morality that might induce them to act in a certain way, are ruled only by their own unreflected whims. In surrendering rational reflection on their own motivations, the controllers will no longer be recognizably human. The controlled will be robot-like, and the abolition of man will have been completed.
I was about to bring up C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man, the book, The Abolition of Man, and specifically the chapter Men Without Chests. So yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. You and I are on the same wavelength there.
Usually. So how do folks get a hold of us to ask questions or make fun of us?
Well, we need some way to either have Sam. I know he makes our short snippets of videos, and currently, if I'm correct about that, and Sam, you can jump in if you're here and correct me, but I think those are going to TikTok, YouTube, but he did say that the algorithm or something was broken on YouTube because we weren't getting any views. And I don't know if that's still the case. Facebook, I think. And where else are they going? Oh, X. So I guess we can do that. I have seen all of those accounts on all of those platforms, but I do not have permission, obviously, to post on the platforms because GCD is the one who created those usernames. And I know Sam did mention, like on X, he said if we wanted him to post the videos on there, he would. But we just need to figure out, an easy way where we could post. And I think there's a free software that we can use that would allow us to make one post, and it would post on, I think, up to 3 or 4 platforms at once. So basically, we could plug in all those 3